Narayan. Jai Shriman Narayan. Jai Shriman Narayan. I pay my obeisances to my spiritual master, Srimad Jagadguru Sudarshan Acharyaji Maharaj. I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Ramanuj. I pay my obeisances to our Purva Acharyas. I pay my obeisances to our 12 Alvars. I pay my obeisances to Mother Lakshmi. And I pay my obeisances to Lord Sriman Narayan. I welcome all of you here physically at the Sri Narayan Dham in Durban, South Africa. I welcome those that's watching this discourse locally, nationally and internationally. And I welcome in advance those that's going to be watching this discourse when it is posted on YouTube and the various groups from around the world subsequently. I want to wish all the fathers, both that are currently in existence and those that have passed on, a happy Father's Day. This is not on our Sanatan Dharma calendar, but we live in the 21st century, and in South Africa we living and following as Sanatan Dharmis both Sanatan Dharma and the Western civilization. So based on that, we cannot excuse ourselves in our societal position, and we celebrate today together with this satsang a happy Father's Day. And then I want to use this day to wish the fathers, the dynamic fathers of Sanatan Dharma, and especially starting from my Guru, Swami Sudarshan Acharyaji Maharaj, and going right back to Lord Sri Ramanuj, and then going further back to Sri Veda Vyas up to the time that we wish our real, authentic, bona fide Father, the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is the only constant Father that we have throughout all our lifetimes. The Supreme Lord is the only constant Father that we have in all our lifetimes. We have Him since creation up to dissolution, and then we are absorbed in Him. And when creation happens again, He is our ultimate and absolute Father until dissolution. And this cycle takes place every 311 trillion, 40 billion years eternally. So there's creation that lasts for 311 trillion, 40 billion years. Then there's devastation for the same period of time, and then there's creation again for the same period of time. And scientifically, and material science is slowly catching up. Scientifically, creation happens when the Supreme Lord breathes out, and dissolution takes place when the Supreme Lord breathes in. So when the Supreme Lord breathes out, there is an infinite amount of universes. Not just this one universe that we know of, but an infinite amount of universes. And science is now calling and acknowledging the multiverse. Science is now acknowledging the multiverse. When the Lord breathes in again, dissolution takes place. Also, science is now realizing, Yajwan, only one discourse at a time. Yajwan, if you want to come talk, I'll give you the mic, come. Okay, then you can't talk elsewhere, all right? As I stated, science has now acknowledged that time in the universe is not linear but cyclic. Not linear but cyclic. And cyclic means that time relative to one dimension will be different in another dimension. So time here on earth is 311 trillion 40 billion years, and when the Supreme Lord breathes out, it's under a second. And when the Supreme Lord breathes in, it's under a second. So time on earth, 311 trillion years, is 1 second in the Lord's domain. So when you think you're suffering, just in this one lifetime, in the Supreme Lord's reality, it is Sita, all your suffering in this 50 years of your lifetime cannot be calculated. It's a decimal of a decimal of a decimal in the 1 second of the Supreme Lord. All of you understand? And that Lord is our eternal Father. And every morning you should be paying your obeisances to the eternal Father. Satish Bhai, you can go down and instruct that man to stop banging. So, I want to intertwine and integrate this material Father's Day with the original and eternal Father. You have to take him outside, Ashmika. He's disturbing me. So in this past few weeks, I was explaining and I said the most intelligent question a human being can ask himself, the most intelligent question a human being can ask him or herself is, who am I? There is no other question that is more intelligent than that. And associated with that question within its context is where I come from and why am I here. So these are real questions, and when answered fully, misery in this material universe disappears like how you switch on a light in a dark room. If you enter a cave that has not been entered by a human, which was in darkness for millions and trillions of years, how long does it take if you put your torch on your cell phone and direct it in the cave? How long will it take the cave to light up? Instantly. So it doesn't matter how long you have been in ignorance. The time for you to come out of ignorance is not relative to the amount of time that you have been in ignorance. As soon as you receive knowledge, you can instantly become knowledgeable, like when a torch is shown in the face of a dark cave, instantly that cave becomes visible, notwithstanding the fact that no light ever reached that cave since the beginning of time. All of you understand? So the job of the Guru is to shine the torch of knowledge in the cave of your mind. In the cave of your mind, and if you are prepared and allow the Guru to shine his light in your mind, then only will knowledge be assimilated. Then only knowledge will be assimilated. You can come for 1 million satsangs, but if you keep your mind closed, no matter what the Guru says, will drop off like water off a duck's back. So it's a two-way relationship. It is a two-way relationship, and you have to clean your mind when you are ready to receive knowledge from the Guru. You have to clean your mind. Cleaning your mind means emptying your mind. You have to empty your mind, because if your mind is not empty and the Guru gives you knowledge, then it will be similar to filling a bucket with water when the bucket is full. So once the bucket is full and you try to fill the bucket with water, what happens with the water that you are pouring into the bucket? 80 or 90% of it from the surface will fall, and just a small percentage will mix with the water that is already there. So similarly, when you want to receive, when you are ready to receive transcendental knowledge from a Guru, then when you enter the door, you have to turn the pail of your mind upside down. Whatever you picked up during the week, you leave it outside. Then when you sit and listen to the Guru, you can assimilate, understand, and actuate this transcendental knowledge. Transcendental knowledge is not for banking. Transcendental knowledge is spiritual and eternal. It means it's not for banking. You don't bank transcendental knowledge. You live and experience transcendental knowledge. You live and experience transcendental knowledge. If you commit yourself, or when you commit yourself, it is the beginning of the end of your mystery, of your misery, when you commit yourself. Because as I've stated in last week's discourse, I said, and I gave an example, I'm going to give it again because I see different people here today, that living outside of the Supreme Lord. So when the Supreme Lord breathes out, it's called prison. It's called prison. Another name in Sanskrit for all these material universes is Durga. And Durga means prison. So when you're living inside the Lord, when He takes the breath in, when He takes the breath in, you are living within the Lord in the spiritual domain. And when He breathes out, you are in prison. And the Supreme Lord, who has no suffering here in this satsang today. You may not be suffering now, but who has not suffered here present in this satsang today? Who has not suffered? What is the purpose of imprisonment? To suffer. To suffer. Prison is created to suffer. You locked up in a room. Your toilet is in the same room and you must eat in the same room. It is miserable. It is suffering. The government created the prison with certain specifics. Those specifics are designed to make you suffer. And these material universes are created with certain specifics, and those specifics is designed to make you suffer. The very reason for the creation of this universe, one of the ingredients is suffering. And even if you are in the most peaceful state, a fly can sit on your nose, a mosquito can attack you relentlessly, a small mosquito, it can be too hot. It can be, and it can be too cold. So the weather can affect you. Yes, you can be in the most, you could have created the most peaceful situation for yourself, but you cannot negate the suffering that God has immersed within the atmosphere of this creation. Yes or no? You yourself can experience it. So this is why you have to ask, who am I? And when you ask, who am I, relative to whom? your Creator. Then you will unpack all the layers that exist between you and the Creator. So if you can understand that I have been intentionally placed in this universe by my Creator to suffer. To suffer and enjoy at the same time. I have been intentionally placed in this universe on this particular planet called Earth to suffer and enjoy timelessly. Then is that an absolute condition? Is that an absolute condition? Suffering and enjoying timelessly, is that an absolute condition? No. Why should you suffer? That is the next question you have to ask yourself. Why did the Supreme Lord place me in a situation where I am happy for 1 week, sad for 2 weeks? Rita, I thought when I get married, my life will be heaven. And then when you get married, you can't escape from this hell. Not you, Rita. All the Ritas I'm talking to.
All Ritas are here.
You understand? Why is this the case? Why is there fluctuation in my happiness and misery? Everyone prays for peace and happiness, yes? Everyone wants peace and happiness, and you pray. You pray in a church, you pray in a mosque, you pray in a temple, you pray in an ashram, you pray in your house, you pray in a synagogue, but everybody prays for peace and happiness. Who prays for misery? Who has ever prayed for misery? But do you receive misery without praying? You receive misery without praying? Then what is the purpose of praying for happiness? What is the purpose for praying for happiness? Because you pray for happiness and you get happiness, but you don't pray for misery and you get misery. Where's the logic for praying for happiness? You understand? Is because we are identifying the symptom, we're not identifying the cause. We are identifying the symptom, we're not identifying the cause. When you are appeased by your system, by your symptoms, when your symptoms have been appeased, is it permanent? It's temporary. But when your cause has been discovered, when the cause have been discovered and altered, what happens to your symptoms? And is misery a symptom? So to negate misery, you need to understand the cause of misery. Yes? And the cause of misery is that you have been placed in a prison. And because you have been placed in a prison, the conditions will always be miserable. Yes? So let's again look at a prisoner. When the parole officer goes into prison and he starts rehabilitating the prisoner, what happens to the condition of the prison relative to the prisoner? What happens? Anyone here been to prison? You can't lie, the Guru is here.
The prison stays the same, but the person alters their mind.
Yes. When you alter your mind, what happens? What happens to that perceived misery? You can now manage it. And the problem is that we do not know how to manage our misery. And once you learn how to manage the misery, once you know why you are miserable, like if you have a toothache, and if you, like me, you don't want to extract the tooth because you don't want to see all those sharp instruments of the dentist. How many of you remember Victoria Street, Shiraz Cinema on that side, and a big dentist on this side? Remember? And I was a policeman, and I came back and I was licensed to wear camouflage uniform because I went for training, special training. Now even armed robbers and housebreakers are using camouflaged clothing. In my time, if you wore camouflage clothing, people shook and shivered. And on that particular day when I wore that camouflage clothing, I had this most painful toothache. And I went to this dentist who brought all his lights, his instruments and everything and placed it before me. And he pulled out my tooth. And I underwent excruciating pain because he severed the nerve raw that was connected to the tooth. And since then, I took a vow and an oath. Imagine a policeman wearing a camouflage uniform and running for his life down the stairs from the dentist office. I don't think anything was more embarrassing in my life. Okay? So now I have learned to manage. Whenever I have a toothache, I have found ways that I can live with it, manage it, and I know it's not going to be there for ever. It's not going to be there for ever. So I needed this knowledge to know that my toothache, even if I don't extract it, it will not be there for ever. And similarly, whatever misery come in your life, know it to be temporary. Instead of falling with that misery, instead of falling and failing with that misery, understand that misery, keep yourself insulated, that misery will pass. As night turns into day, and that beautiful red sunlight at dawn, similarly, your life will dawn into happiness, because that darkness cannot remain there perpetually. That darkness cannot remain there perpetually. How you know this? You experience and see it every day. Don't you? So, this is why you need, if you are Sanatan Dharmi, then you need to come to a ashram. If you are Christian, you need to go to a church. If you are Muslim, you need to go to a mosque. And if you are a Jew, you need to go to synagogue. Because in these places, God will always give you information. God has these places created so that you can connect to Him. You can connect to Him. When the parole officer enters the prison, the prisoner knows that his misery of imprisonment is going to be over, and he starts living as if he is released already. Yes or no? Because his release is imminent. His release is imminent. So similarly, when you come to service either at ashram, church, mosque, wherever, it's the same Creator. It's the same Creator. Like you call an apple in English an apple. Shanti, what you call an apple in Hindi?
Just the pronunciation is different. Apple.
Apple. Alright? And a Zulu will call it different, and an Afrikaner will call it different, and every language will call it differently. But in reality it is apple. Similarly, language is calling God by different names. In Christianity, we say Creator. Yes? In Islam, we say Creator or Creator. In Sanatan Dharma, we say Creator. In every religion, we use the word create. Is Creator not common in all the religion? So how many creators could have created this universe? We all calling the same Creator because we living in the same universe. There is no Christian universe, no Muslim universe, no Hindu universe, and no Jewish universe, but yet all of these religions say creator. So why isn't there a universe for these different religions? Why isn't there a universe for all these different religions? Why you have to stay in one universe? And I said, and I continue to say, that there is no superior religion. How do we know there is no superior religion? How do we know there is no superior religion? And I gave an example. Cancer is found in every religion. COVID-19 affected every religion. Floods and earthquakes affect every religion. If no religion is insulated on this planet Earth against all these calamities, illnesses, how can you be superior? Why should you be superior? If you are superior, why should you be superior? Why should you be superior, Satish Bhai, if there is a superior religion? You must be insulated against all these calamities and then say, I belong to a superior religion. Flooding 2021, Temple Amslatuzana washed away, mosque washed away, church washed away, all these major religions. Why didn't, if one of the religions was superior, why didn't their place of worship get saved and be insulated? Only then and then can there be a superior religion. As long as every religion suffers the same calamities, then there can be no superior religion. You have to show proof of your being superior than another religion. And that proof must be elemental proof from this planet Earth itself. We have to be realistic, we have to be logical. Alright? But it is innate human nature that whatever you belong to is superior than others. Yes or no? Like my grandchildren are the most beautiful grandchildren on this planet Earth. And every grandparent will say the same thing. It is an innate human feeling. But it is not the truth. It is not the truth. And look, religion and religious killings have taken more lives than World War I, World War II and all the wars that happened. Religious killings with this mindset has taken more lives. But we have to get practical, we have to get intelligent, and this is why I said the most intelligent question you can ask yourself is, who am I? You can ask yourself as a Muslim, you can ask yourself as a Christian, you can ask yourself as a Hindu, you can ask yourself as a Jew. And the answer will always be the same. I am a spirit soul. I am a spirit soul. That essence of spirituality which I am, which is the soul, which is identical to my Maker and Creator, the Supreme Lord. Qualitatively, we are the same. Quantitatively, I am the size of an atom, and the Supreme Lord cannot be estimated. That is the only difference. Currently, I am traveling in this vehicle called my body. Your body. So Rita, you are, the make of your vehicle is Rita. Rita 4.5 liters. Rita 4.5 liter. Husband is happy in the back. Father's Day present. Tony? Is it 4.5 liters or 8.5 liters?
Add a couple of more liters.
You understand? Because the soul cannot have a name. Soul cannot have a name. All the souls are identical, but the vehicle that the soul has enlivened or given life to has a name. When that soul leaves Rita's vehicle, that body will go to the scrapyard, yes? But the soul will take on another vehicle. So it is necessary that you use all the information that is within you. You can go to Google and you can start finding out things about yourself. Like the Supreme Lord takes a breath in and there's dissolution, and when He breathes out, there's creation. Find out when you take a breath in your body, in your own body, what happens to the breath? What mechanisms exist inside your own body, where that breath goes, and how that breath is responsible for your daily living. How that cosmic energy, we just think and we call it air. What is inside that air? How it actuates the body, and what is the relationship between that air that enters the body and the soul. And this is when you start discovering yourself, and you'll be amazed. You will be amazed to find out that you are the greatest technology in this universe, and no matter what technology will be created from now until dissolution, it will never supersede you. You are God's greatest technology. It will never ever supersede this human technology. Jai Sriman Narayan.